Good morning, everybody. We got Bruce Porter back from his hiatus at the fair. I guess you were here last week, but you were in a corn dog fog. So we will.
I was definitely in a corn dog fog.
We'll hear more about that from Bruce right after this.
Putting the client first. That was my main priority some 20 years ago when I started the Resource Center, and it remains my priority today. That's why I wrote Finding the Courage to Retire, to help guide you confidently along a journey that should be the most rewarding of your life, from creating sustainable income and preservation strategies to understanding Social Security, Medicare, and much more. This book is the retirement roadmap you need. To get your free copy, just call or email our office today.
And we're back. All right. So
how are you?
Got the corn dogs out of the system now, and
well, last year we set a high mark at 12.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, and this year I only hit 5. I was
wow.
out of my rhythm, but I was there about half the time.
Yeah.
We got more volunteers. Last year we didn't have many, and Roy Rickster and I kind of pulled the lion's share. But anyway, it was a good time.
Yeah.
Saw lots of people. Yep.
Good deal. No, we were talking to Roy about it on Monday, and he kind of filled us in. He said he got to meet a lot of folks out there.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good time, of course. Yeah, you get to see all of humanity when you experience a fair like that. I did my share of booths back when I worked for the prosecutor's office. We had a booth out there of all things, and so I spent a few hours manning the booth.
You probably saw quite a few people you knew as a prosecutor.
Well, yeah, sometimes that's the issue. You go around anywhere.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I'll admit, because of my days as a prosecutor and a judge, I've gotten my food handed to me at a drive-through window, and I've driven around the corner, thrown it away, and gone somewhere else because I recognize the people in the window. And I don't know if they recognize me or not, but I'm like, I'm not taking that chance.
I'm not going to take the chance.
I'll go somewhere else. But,
yeah, well, we had a good workshop last night.
We did. Small group, but really engaging, a lot of fun.
Yeah, and everybody that left, I had 2 different people say, wow, I wished I'd have met you guys 10 years ago.
Yeah, we hear
and
that
it's
a lot.
like it's never too late to start your plan or correct, maybe a plan that you had years ago.
Well, it's like the adage says, the best day to plant a tree is yesterday.
Yeah.
The next best day is today.
Yeah.
Today.
Right.
So
Right.
It's never too late, but every day you wait is a missed day.
That's right. And after last week's storms, we're all going to need new trees.
We're all going to need new trees.
Yep.
I didn't lose any trees. I was pretty fortunate about that. I've got one that has blown down once before. We've stood it back up. And it's weathered the storms. I'm shocked that it's stayed up.
I've got you beat. I had a rental house in Ozark. We lost 7 trees, most of them over 50 feet tall.
Wow.
Big trees, disaster. 3 days, 6 people, 3 days to clean it up. So quite costly. Insurance didn't cover hardly any of that. It did hit my chain link fence. And I told them that was a very valuable chain link fence.
Yeah.
It was very meaningful to me. Didn't have a lot of difference on the...
That was your gold-plated chain link fence, wasn't it?
Yeah, titanium post.
That was my recollection.
Well, the adjuster didn't think it was that valuable, but they said it does have value. So,
sure, you get a little bit
so
for
it
that.
paid off. So that's a good thing.
Well, you bring up a good point. I mean, I think a lot of us have gone through life and we just buy insurance. And we don't know what our policy covers. We don't know what the exclusions are. We're kind of looking for the cheapest policy we can get. I've always bought the earthquake rider around here.
Yeah.
And I think that's fairly uncommon, but one of these days, it's going to probably hit. And
we're not that far from New Madrid.
No.
And earthquake coverage, if you could work that into your budget, I mean, that's not a bad thing to have.
Well, it's always been cheap.
It's, ground movement and natural causes for damage to your home are not covered by your insurance.
Yeah, unless you have the riders.
Unless you've got those riders.
Yeah.
And, New Madrid is what, the largest fault line?
Yeah, it's a big one. If and when it goes, it's going
Yeah.
to be a big one. The last time it went, the Mississippi flowed backwards. It
For
did so
3
much.
days. That was interesting, I bet.
I wasn't there.
What'd the fish do?
I have no
They
idea.
go back north?
I guess they went north for the summer, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Migrated like the birds.
yeah, I mean, where was Tom Sawyer when all that went on?
but,
Or Huck Finn.
But Huck Finn, he was the one. But I mean, the point is, you need to have the right insurance.
That's right.
And that means you need to talk to the right insurance agent. And an independent agent has the ability to kind of shop those options for you, make sure
That's
you're
right.
getting the right coverage at the right price.
We fielded a lot of calls. If your tree, for example, falls on your neighbor's house, you may have to pay out of pocket to get the debris removed from your yard, but your neighbor has to file a claim on their property, on their house.
That's a them
because
problem.
your insurance will not cover their house.
Right.
That aggravates a lot of people. It's not my tree, it was your tree that hit my house. And insurance is very clear in that regard.
Insurance doesn't see it that way.
That's right. Now,
Because you're insuring the property, not the, anyway.
That's right. And your tree removal is not necessarily covered. So if you had an 80-foot tall tree fell in your backyard and didn't hit anything, you probably have no coverage for that.
no claim.
It may cost you $5,000 to get that removed. We're dealing with that with a client right now. They had a huge cypress or evergreen, whatever, huge, fell in their backyard, didn't hit a thing, grazed a lawn chair.
The gold-plated electric with Bluetooth
And
lawn
the
chair,
best
I'm
price
sure.
he could get to have it removed was $3,800, and there's no coverage because it didn't damage anything but the dirt.
Now, you may need to go do some research with this and tell us next week if you can, but is there a rider that you can get that would cover tree removal damage?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Most companies are capped out around $500 to $1,000 for that. I actually might be better off to ask Peter.
He's our shop guy, right?
We're training him up,
Yeah.
so one of these days he'll be our go-to on those
We'll ask
questions.
him all the
But
insurance questions.
yeah, I mean, most companies are capped out for debris removal, like after a tornado, things like that, at either $500 or maximum $1,000. But you got to remember, everybody's got a deductible. So by the time you apply your deductible, you may not have a lot of coverage, and you don't want to have a bunch of zero pay claims on your record because it does affect your future premiums. Now, catastrophic losses, when it comes to property and casualty, have little effect on your future renewals. If you just file a claim because something happened to your house, and you've done that several times, and there's not been like a community storm, then the insurance company's going to ding you for those, and it's going to be very hard to get competitive rates.
Is that
in the
just
future.
because they look at you as someone that's prone
Your
to file
risk?
a claim?
Yeah. If your credit's bad, and we've talked to people about when you have poor credit, you're more likely to file a claim. Now, you may have integrity, you may be a great person, but statistically, the insurance companies are basing that opinion on the statistics. Statistically, if your credit's poor, you're going to have a tendency to file more claims because you don't have a lot of resources to fall back on if you do have a small claim. So you have a tendency to turn in everything. They don't necessarily want that.
Really?
There are companies that will accept risk like that, but they evaluate every situation when they determine your rate and your premium on whatever you're insuring. So I think if you are still dealing with the storm damage, don't be frustrated, just ask a lot of questions. That would be that'd be my thought. Customers that ask questions, I can respect that. Customers that get mad because they just can't comprehend how insurance works, here's the way it is. Don't waste my time.
There's other places to go.
Yeah, because it's not like I ordered the storm.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you know, we get.
I'm trying to help.
In the law firm, we get the same thing. It's
Yeah.
like I can only do so much to help you understand. But if you just won't listen, if you just refuse to understand, then I'm done. There's just not a lot more I can do.
Well, it's no different than setting up a trust and then they never do anything with it.
And
we've seen that.
We're there. We're ready to help and answer questions. But if people won't call, or if they just want to argue,
that's fun too.
then well, I mean,
You're better at that than I am.
if so it's all good. But I want people to know something that I learned is shopping your insurance is a good idea.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, every year, every couple years, just
just to keep your company honest. I mean, companies have a tendency to creep your rate up. So if you're a good risk and you never file a claim, I've had one claim, I guess, knock on wood, I've had one claim on my auto insurance since I was 16 years old.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's quite a while to pay premiums and never use it. So it's been very expensive for me because I haven't used it that much. Now, tomorrow, Lord help us, I mean, you know, we don't want to have accidents. But if you're a very good risk and your insurance is going to go up because there's a lot of people that aren't a good risk, and what happens, they end up raising rates across the board because they have to.
Well, we're now finding that in a lot of industries. If you've been a loyal customer, if you look back at your bills on anything from trash service to utilities to, you'll just find that your bill has just been slowly increasing over time. I ran into it with my trash company. Did I tell you the trash company story? Yeah, check on this, folks. It's check what you're paying for these services because
absolutely.
I was with a trash company and I had seen on the internet this local company advertising that they were, you know, they're charging about $18 a month.
Yeah.
To do trash service. I thought, okay, you know, I didn't pay a lot of attention, and I pay quarterly. A lot of people do, and I got my quarterly trash bill from my company. It was over $200, and I thought, well, now that's a big difference.
Yeah.
And so I called this new company and I said, hey, I want to hire you. I'm going to switch. And so I got them all set up. They were easy to set up. I called my old company and I said, I need to cancel service. And the gal on the other line said, okay, well, let me look. They said, you know, they got my information. Let me look at your account. And they said, well, Mr. Worsham, you've been with us for over 20 years. Why do you want to cancel now? I said, well, you're too expensive. And she said, well, why do you say? I said, well, I've got a new company that's willing to do this for $18 a month, and you guys are charging me well over $80 a month.
Right.
And she said, well, let me see what I can do. I'm like, okay. And she comes back off a little bit. She said, quarterly, this new company is going to, or every 2 months, I guess it was, this new company, they're $36 for 2 months. I said, yes. We'll do it for $34.
Wow.
For 2 months. I'm like, okay, so 2 months used to cost me $160. Now you're telling me you can do it for $34. Oh yeah, same level of service? Yeah, exact same thing.
Wow.
I said, huh. And she said, so you're going to stay with us? I said, heck no. She said, why not? I said, tell you what, you give me a refund for the 15 years of overcharging me, then I'll think about staying with you. But there's no way I would stay with a company that has that treats a long-term customer that poorly.
Yeah.
And so I switched.
That's a good point. I mean, those companies, everybody creeps the rate up. My mom keeps me up to date on all the latest rate increases.
Oh, that's handy.
Trash is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
So you know what? Seniors, you don't want to mess with seniors because
they got time.
They got time and they'll figure it out. So you know what they did? Her and two of her neighbors, they all got together.
Yeah.
They all were aggravated at their trash service. So what'd they do? Two of them canceled. They use one service now, and they all put it in the same.
There you go.
I mean, they have one bag a week, maybe.
Yeah, they don't have enough to.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the trash company would have been a lot better off just to reduce their rate a little bit and keep them happy. But no, they didn't.
Yeah.
They made these.
Well, you know what? This new
mad.
company, for an extra $5 a month, I get a second can.
Wow.
So I have one at the house and I have one in my detached garage. So, I mean, I've got 2 cans.
You're a 2-can man.
I'm a 2-can man. And hey, if you want to know more about shopping your insurance and get that done, call the Resource Center. They'll give it to Peter.
And we can litigate your trash service.
We'll argue with your trash company. Call the Resource Center, 417-882-1800. Sign up for an estate planning seminar. Come and see us. We'll have a good time. And we'll see you next week right here on Dollars and Cents.
Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and the Resource Center, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet a particular need of an individual situation. The Resource Center, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this podcast shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by the Resource Center, Inc. This podcast is a paid placement.